Hi there, good evening. It's Saturday night and I just completed 18 hour day. I'm not sure if I ever worked two gigs in the exact same day. I'd have to think back. There's probably an example of it in somewhere in the past 22 years of working events, but those that follow my work at all know how important the now moment is and capturing the energy of specific moments. There are times where I'm just compelled to do that. And despite being absolutely exhausted and being up since about, I think I got up at like 3. Um, 3:15 is when I woke up, reported to work at 4, and it's knocking on 10 p.m. right now. There are a number of things that I feel I have to capture in this now moment. First and foremost, if anybody has been following the story recently, you would know that I had to ask my friend that has been living here with me for the past 5 months. I had to sort of let him know that I needed my house back, given that my house is not only where I live, but it's also where I work. And it's also something I have sacrificed for and placed as the highest of priorities, understanding how much, because of my sensitivity, because of the unique nature of my work, because of my own personal desires, because of a lot of things that boil down to the balance of my own personal energy. I knew how important my own space was. And so when he needed a place to stay, I said yes, but I knew it needed to be a short period of time. It unexpectedly popped for me about 3 weeks ago, and I had to let him know that he needed to move out, and I gave him till the end of June. On Thursday morning, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday morning, I woke up to news that he was moving out in 48 hours. Um, and today, after working and being out of town for the past 48 hours, I came home and all as he said, all his stuff is out. And so I'm in a very surreal moment where obviously I asked him, and that was the choice I needed to make. But as with everything, there's a spectrum, there's the whole picture, right? Like you don't just feel one way about something. If you really are honoring yourself as an entire being, you honor the entire spectrum and all the 360 degrees of what you are feeling about something. So, while of course I'm thrilled that I have my space back, I also, you know, I'm heavy-hearted. This is one of the top-notch humans that I'm fortunate enough to call my friends. This is a good man. And it's the whole thing is surreal, to come home to such a stark difference in the energy, right? And so again, he said he was moving out, but I didn't know if he'd be out today or tomorrow. So I came home and he has, oh my God, he brought all of his plants. He's got tons of crystals. He's got beautiful energy himself. And so it's a lot to kind of come home to. And it's paradoxical because it's a lot to come home to nothing being here of the person that was once here. So it's very interesting energetically. Secondly, we are back into the full swing of event season. And my business partner and I, who you've also heard me speak and reference and speak about a great deal in recent videos, we just had as our little company another amazing weekend, culminating with he and I working two different events. So working a really big event, one that we've worked many, many, many years, and then to a much smaller event, not much smaller, a smaller event, for a nighttime event. And again, I know that I'm not really sharing the story in the best of ways. I'm just trying to drop snippets of the energy. It continues to the whole thing of what he and I are doing, and the fact that it's a vision, it's a joint vision, how much overlap there is in our individual visions, and to not only see our lives being changed and affected, but by extension, the ripple effect in our event world family, in our event communities, in our, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable to spiral up with others and to be cheerleading and in one another's corners, and more so because we're making it up as we go along. And I really think that describes a lot more of the nature of reality that we're shifting into. I've said this before, in honoring a world that's designed and organized around more of the greater truths. And the greater truths are that there really is only the now moment, and then the next now moment, and the next now moment. And that any given moment is so rich with what comprises that moment. And yet we live in a world that is blowing through the now moments, and very few are willing, able, interested in stopping to smell the roses, as they say. And moments like this, I'm just trying to stop to smell the roses, because I want to do a lot more stopping of smelling the roses. And in this continued transition time, still have bills to pay. It's still remarkably and ridiculously expensive to support oneself, even when one has relatively little desire in terms of material possessions. It's astounding to me how much, with as simple as my desires are, that I still have to earn to make ends meet, then you're in sort of the regular world, and it's acceleration. Yet the greater part of me knows the greater truths. The greater part of me is living these greater truths in my world of work, and it's trying to get that off of the ground. And so it's this beautiful dance and this mix. And so if I don't make sure I stop in these moments and just take a breath and feel this fucking moment, it's gone, right? It's gone. And I work 2 events next weekend too. And we have staff at a third event that, I have to make sure that I stop. And so I'm just trying to stop for a moment tonight before I shower and crash. So and I kind of blew by without highlighting the main point of the main highlighted aspect. The main aspect I wanted to highlight, that's what I meant to say, about this manifestation, damn near instant manifestation of telling him 3 weeks ago, and now he's out. And me really genuinely believing it was going to take months for him to find something. And between his energy and my energy, we were able to manifest an exit within weeks of me popping and realizing I needed my space back. And so, despite the spectrum of feelings, what I'm always working to do is to honor what I'm feeling, peel back the layers of the onion, learn the lessons, and then focus upon the most positive parts of it all. And in this case, one of the most positive parts is the fact that I am reminded yet again of my individual power and to manifest. Because what is manifested into our physical reality is the last piece that clicks in. It first begins with what you're thinking, what you're giving your thought energy to. And then you contribute, then you take those thoughts and you speak them, you write them, you live them. And as you take those more action steps in the physical, it's inevitable then what you're feeding energetically in the unseen becomes seen when the stars align, as they say, because divine, most certainly, source creation, God has is in the driver's seat. So there is a very symbiotic, co-creative, um, element to this. And I know that as this thing that you may hear called ascension continues to take place, we are going to get more and more, everything's going to accelerate, including manifestation. And it really behooves us to understand more of the mechanisms at the higher level of how physical reality and what comes into physical reality does so. How does that happen? Meanwhile, there's all sorts of crazy, insane things going on in what I call clown world, as the regular 3D world of bullshit continues to collapse. Rest assured, the insanity and the chaos and the holy shit factor of weird and strange and nonsensical is all going to also accelerate. But I know that one can find a way to navigate through that if one stays focused on one's own personal alignment. And it takes work and it's exhausting in a certain way. But in another way, it's kind of ridiculous how much energy I've had with these accelerated energies. Because there was a period of time where this sort of cosmic energy, this massive energy coming in, would have completely, I would have felt a lot more fatigued and drained. I'm personally drained today, but that's because I had a 17-hour workday between two different events where I was a lead in very two different ways. The run course lead for 3 races, and then technically the race director, although that title really doesn't apply too much to the second gig because it was very minimal. But I was still a primary person, kind of responsible for a period of time today for that event as well. So I'm feeling that. So I'm exhausted in this moment. But in terms of what the first 5 weeks now, almost 5 full weeks, have brought, 5 full weeks of Gregorian year 25 have brought, it's just kind of incredible that I'm managing it all as I am. The other interesting things, my youngest brother, he's coming to visit, and he hasn't been here in Florida since he left here in 2020. And he's going to be staying at the house because there's a place for him to stay, which is going to be an interesting thing next weekend. And then I don't want to say too much about the gentleman that's in my life that I've referenced, because that continues to also be um, that one is chock full of feelings. And that's the one that I wish I could be in and with and exploring and discovering and playing with the most. But it is so clear not the time right now. And then that I found has caused me to panic in a certain way, that what I want so badly to happen with this man, that it's not going to get a chance. And it's tripping me up. It's tripping me up in such huge ways, but beautiful ways and necessary ways. It is so hard for me not to lose myself in a situation like this. It has been really hard to recognize after the better part of like 8 or 9 years convincing myself, not convincing myself, accepting that I might not be intended for any sort of partnership with a man for the rest of this life. You have to work to accept that and be okay with that. Because if you don't, you go mad. That's part of the reason my teenage years and my 20s and my 30s were so fucking tough, is because you're made to feel like such a complete fucking loser if you don't have status and money and material things and a family and a partner. I didn't have any of that shit. And so you do the work to, one, become whole within yourself, to become someone that's got a deep level of love and the ability to self-validate and to self-nurture and to take care of oneself. That's what you develop. And I will maintain that I believe it does nothing to hurt any of us, for all of us to be working to be that for ourselves, and then try to come together in partnership. And I think we see a whole lot more of healthier, powerful relationships. But right now, I'm just accepting that this has got me turned inside out, upside down. I'm dizzy. I feel crazy at times. I think there was a movie some years back, Crazy Stupid Love, something like that. I think Ryan Gosling was in it. I think it was called, no, Steve Carell. I can't remember. Crazy Stupid Love. I think Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling. And that's what I feel like. Crazy Stupid Love. I feel like love might be the most powerful drug out there. And I just, I know that it's just been hard. It's been hard to hold back. I don't know that I need to hold back, but he's holding back because he has to hold back right now because he's just got so much on his plate, and he's in such a predicament in certain ways with his living situation. He just, and it's taken me on a ride, and I went into a little bit of crazy, this week. Crazy because of how deeply my heart is feeling when I am around this man. When I just, oh my God, when I just like, no words. I don't need any words. When I just, look into his eyes. Um, but I pulled back this week. And I don't doubt that I had to pull back, but I pulled back in a way to say, I need to wait until you have the bandwidth. And then I second guessed myself, still second guessing myself. And these are the sorts of things